Squad up, tell me what you really bout. Iron grind, tell me what you really bout. Squad up, tell me what you really bout.
Everyone is a moon and has a dark side, which he never shows to anybody. Now, Mark Twain once said this. Now, Joe, that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. Now, motivation, in its definition, it's the reason or reasons on why we behave the way that we do. But there's two types of motivation. There's the light side, the nice side, the kind that's, I want to make my mom proud type shit. And then there's the dark side. Somebody told you that you were never going to grow up to what you wanted to be, things of that nature. Now, before we tell your story, I want to ask you, why did you want to tell your story?
Solely just for motivation, and just because, who knows, someone out there might be that little Joseph going through the same thing that I went through, growing up through the trials and tribulations that I had to go through, and you just never know, because I didn't confide into anybody. Nobody knew what I was going through. A lot of people still don't know what I go through or what I've went through. The story that I'm going to share today, there's probably only one friend that knows, and that was the one friend that was with me the night that I'm going to talk about tonight. And just seeing my mom so strong, she never confided in anybody, so I knew I had to be strong. I never confided in anybody. It may be good or bad, but it made me stronger, And not only that, my dad fought with addiction, alcoholism, and who knows, there might be a father out there looking in, listening on this story, and it might change his life. And in his life is going to change his kid's life. That little Joseph out there, But, the story that I'm talking about is...
Okay, so first, we're going to get started with your dark side. So, what fuels the fire, Joe? Where does the darkness, where does the fire come from? Man,
the darkness, the fire that comes from was a lot of struggles that my father put us through. One was, one night that changed my whole life around, man. My dad was like the pinnacle person to me. I wanted to be like my dad. That's my dad.
Yeah.
And, but he fought with addiction and alcoholism. And one night we got into an argument. I was young. I was only 13 years old. And he's so drunk and on drugs, he tried to fight me. So of course my mom protected me. She jumped in the middle. And, they started arguing. I don't want my parents to argue, just like no other kid, So, I'm like, I'm out of here. I leave. I'm walking down the street. I'm like, whatever. Then I hear my mom scream. And I'm like, I kind of stop and pause and was like, I come back, walking back down to the street, listening again. Sure enough, it was her screaming, man. And
so you could hear your mom screaming from the street?
Yeah, I heard. First it was one scream, and I didn't, I didn't know fully. Then I heard her scream real loud, and then I didn't hear nothing. So I was like, I had to go back. I ran back. When I ran into the house, the room they were in, I come in and her neck's on the edge of the bed, and you can see where the phone cord was ripped out of the wall. And he was choking her. And
what did you feel when you saw that?
I was pissed. And I still get pissed to this day. And but she's good now, and I'm good. And we made it through when we fought. But I won't go in detail on that story. But that's where the darkness comes from. And it just took me to a whole nother level, a whole nother pain threshold. And that's why I'm good at what I do. You know, my sports, I've always tried to excel and be the best I can. If I was running, I was gonna run harder. My lungs are hurting, I wanna feel that pain, you know? And man, the first time I got a tattoo was I was 13 years old, and I think it was just to release the pain that I had inside. You know,
that came originally from experiencing that with your father.
Yeah, you know, I thought the pain of the flesh was what I still do today. You know, I still crave that. You know, I can just take it to a whole nother level, and you know, that's mainly where that dark side comes from.
So let me ask you this, Joe. So, you know, when you're going through your workouts, we all know, you know, that you're intense. I mean, you're 120% when you're in there. You're intense, and I mean, I got to be honest with you, I've never seen anybody work out like that until I started working out with you. Is that like something that plays through your head on replay when you're hitting the weights?
I mean, it's kind of like a blessing and at the same time a bad thing, but I learned to channel it and turn it into positive. And like I said, still to this day, man, that picture, that moment pops up in randomly, you know, like. And it's, I mean, like I said, it's kind of like a blessing, even though it's kind of weird to say it that way. But now it has helped me just to release everything in a positive way. You know, I'm tired. You know, I work out in the gyms that are like 115 degrees. I'm on super low diets, and you know, I'll be at the point where, you know, I do see stars, or I might pass out, and for some reason, boom, it just clicks in my head. That moment or that anger, and I just go, you know, and you know, it could be, I don't know, anything, but it just helps me push that much more, where, like I said, I can put that threshold more on my flesh, you know. And sometimes I really do want to hurt myself. Some people say, man, you work out crazy, I don't know how you push that far. I mean, I don't tell people what's behind it because it don't sound right. Yeah. You know, but it helps me just take it to a whole nother level.
Okay, so that's where your dark side comes from. That's where the fire comes from, and a lot of that was fueled by you know, your dad's troubles with alcohol and, you know, addiction. You know, is there any other vivid story that you got? I mean, something that fuels you, that makes you want to, I mean, chase that dream?
It just goes along the whole side of his addiction and alcoholism. Like it took a toll on my whole family, man. Like my brother, I have an older brother, which was out of my life. He left home when he was 14 or 15, you know, and just different things. Like my mom was giving him the rent money to pay rent. One time the landlord shows up, kicking us out the house. The rent hadn't been paid in 3 months, you know, so we're stuck with no home. We've had to live in, you know, 1-bedroom houses. Many times, you know, he took the car, left it at the bar, got stolen. And, you know, all I can remember is just seeing my mom be so strong. You know, we'd have to go to the grocery store and we'd walk miles and miles just from coming to the grocery store because we didn't have no vehicle, you know. And I just remember seeing her hands, you know, the blood circulation stopping just from holding so long, you know. And so that's what started motivating me, because I was so young, but I wanted to be a man, you know. I wanted to man up. So, you know, there's a lot of things that my motivation, I was only 13, you know, I was like, what can I do? Man, I ended up getting a job at a pizza place. And
where? Tell him, Joe.
Mama's Pizza.
Mama's Pizza.
Yeah, and I lied about my age, and man, it was good because I didn't go through the free lunch line anymore. I was buying all my friends' pizzas. But, you know, it motivated me because I can do something to help my mom. I was help paying rent, you know, giving her what I could. And, you know, I think that's what brought this grind, you know what I mean? Non-stop grind. And it was funny because they finally figured out my age because they were gonna give me a raise.
And what happened?
And I was happy. I went home. I told Mom, I was like, Mom, guess what? I got a 50-cent raise. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh shit, my birthday and my social ain't gonna match. Sure enough, I come back the next day and they had an interview with me and they're like, well, we know you lied about your age. You're such a hard worker, but you know you can come back when you turn 16.
Yep.
And it was, man, but it's how it's always been. I was ready to work. I worked with my uncles, building fences, roofs. I mean, you name it, I've done it because I had to grind.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you started as a young kid helping your mom out because, you know, your dad was in and out, you know, going through his demons. That's where your dark side came through. You had to man up. Now, I mean, tell me, so like I said, I mean, there's one side of the motivation that comes from the dark side. Now there's one side of the motivation that comes from the light side, from a good side. So, I mean, does any of your motivation come from a good side or a light side?
Yeah, it started when my freshman year in high school. You know, I had a head baseball coach that, man, he was unbelievable. Like, you could just see the way he looked at me, and you know, I had two other friends that I grew up with and that we were real good at baseball, but I think he was more you know, surprised of our work ethic because, like I said, I just went, grind. And man, I could just see him look at me and see the faith in me. He believed in me. You know what I mean? And you can see that in people's eyes. You can see when someone's lying to you. You can see when someone's fake. You see it in the eyes. And that changed my whole motivation because I'm like, man, he believes in me that much. He's helping me get, you know, gloves, a team baseball bat. And, you know, he saw I was the first one there in the weight room. I was the last one to leave. You know, they had to turn the lights off on us because we were out there hitting baseball after practice, after working out. And so that's where a lot of it, you know, that positiveness came from, someone believing in me, you know?
So some things don't change, Joe. You're always the first one to show up and still the last one to leave.
Yep, grind.
So when you were in high school and, you know, this coach that you met believed in you, you used to spend a lot of time there? Oh
yeah, man, get up 5 in the morning, go pick up my friends. I wasn't supposed to drive, but I drove. We'd be there 5 in the morning, you know, hitting, working out. Coach come in there like, what the hell are these boys doing? You know, we were freshmen, sophomores. No one was there. We were there before the janitors were there, you know?
Absolutely.
And you know, that's just what we did. That's what fulfilled my heart.
So you used to get there before the janitors used to get there. So, I mean, let me in on something. I mean, how were you getting in there?
Well, man, the coach knew. Honestly, I think he was tired of meeting us there, opening the door for us. So, man, he gave me a key to the Fieldhouse.
The Fieldhouse?
Yep. And
that sounds familiar, JoJo.
Yep, that's where the name comes from. People think it may just be a cool name that I sat there and thought of, but no, that's a whole different era. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a whole different example of who I am. Because at that time, that was my scapegoat, you know? Like, everybody went to the Fieldhouse. Kids from the school, my friends, that's where we met. That was, you know, our Neverland. You know, we had fun there. Everybody just hung out. We had a TV set up, a Nintendo. And to me, those were the best years of my life as a teenager, you know? Because it made me feel at home, which was my home away from home, that's how I got the motto to the Fieldhouse now, you know?
The Fieldhouse, your home away from home. No kidding, man. So that's how you got it.
Yep, so there's meaning. That's what it means to me. And that's what I want it to mean for everyone else, you know? Because there's kids going through the same thing I was. You can see it in their eyes, you know? And, you know, that's just what I want to portray. That's what I want to do.
So, Joe, you can't fool me, bro. I know you from way back in the day.
Yeah.
Since we were babies.
Oh yeah, peanut butter jellies.
Peanut butter and jelly time. How do you think I got this thickness? Right? So they did us good. But I mean, I remember you back in the day. You know, you were about them hands. you were bad, man. I mean, I ain't got no other way to put it. But I know you from back in the day, and I remember you not going down a great path.
Yeah.
So I mean, from not going down a great path, and you know, experiencing what you did, and you know, everything else in your past, what do you think? I mean, what was the turning point in your life?
Well, man, honestly, there was this one time that it freaking broke my heart, man. And I don't know, I forget how old I was. I think it was a year after all that happened, because once that happened with my dad, that's when that anger came and that rage came. You know, I never went out and started trouble, but I was around it, so of course I'm gonna be in it, you know. And a lot of that actions that I took, which I regret now, was just because the anger, you know. It just took me to that whole different level, that mindset that, man, it's scary. But yeah, one night, me and my two friends were out late, you know. It was like 3 in the morning, my mom was out of town. I don't know where my dad was, man, and I was at my friend's staying at his house. I was like, man, no one's at my house, let's go to my house, we'll kick it, have fun, whatever. So we're running across the main street, and it looks like a cop's down the street, and sure enough, it's a cop. Boom, he hits his lights. Man, well, long story short, one of my friends had marijuana on him. He threw it, took off running. They both took off running, and I was smarter than that, you know. I wasn't smart enough. I was out 3 in the morning, but I'm not gonna run from no cop.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the cop comes. I'm just standing there. I'm like, look, sir, I'm sorry. We were just going to my house. I mean, I was like right around the corner from my house. And he starts looking around. Sure enough, he finds the marijuana. Man. And he's like, look, son, I saw that kid throw it. Just give me his name, and, you know, you won't be in trouble. But I wasn't raised like that. You know, I'm from a different side of neighborhood where you don't say nothing. And that's my friend. I mean, I don't want him to get in trouble. So I end up going down for it. I went to juvenile. It wasn't enough to put me back and check me in. And my mom was out of town, and they couldn't get a hold of my dad. So I ended up getting stuck in there for like, man, I want to say it felt like 2 whole solid days.
You were in there for 2 days?
It felt like that, but I'm sure, for sure it was a day and a half. And it was just in the tank, like a waiting room. The light was on the whole entire time. Did not shut it off.
Even at night?
Even at night. I had to just sit there and just think and reflect on everything. And it was crazy. I'm not proud of it, but at the same time, it was a blessing in disguise, because it changed my whole life from that point on. You know, I had a little small plastic chair. I had to sit in it. I laid on the floor, put my feet up, just trying to get comfortable. I couldn't get comfortable, so I had no choice but to think. You know, well, no one ended up coming to pick me up, so they couldn't check me in. So what happened was, this probation officer came in. They took me to a kid's home, where, you know, an actual kid's home where they don't have nowhere to go. And I just remember sitting on the couch, you know, I just wanted to go home. I wanted to be home. And man, this little 8-year-old girl comes up to me, and she's like, hey, are you okay? And she was cute, little curly hair. And, you know, I was like, man, she's young to be in here, you know. It was just a mix of them, teenagers.
So it was like a group home?
Yeah, it was just like a group home.
Where kids didn't have any parents?
Where they didn't have no parents. And she's like, are you okay? You look sad. And I'm like, no, I'm just tired. And she was like, can I ask you something? I'm like, sure, yeah, what's up? And she's like, do you think I'm weird? And it blew my mind. I'm like, what? Do I think you're weird? No, you're not weird. You know, you seem really cool. You know, I just get to know, talking to her, just, you know, being nice. And then she looks at me with this sad face, and she's like, well, I'm sorry if you do think I'm weird, but it's only because I know my parents don't want me. And I was just like, whoa, man, that just blew my mind. For someone that young to say something like that, and me to be in the position I am, you know, I still had my mom, and, you know, she raised me better than that. And that just, man, it tore my heart, you know. My dad finally ended up coming to get me, and what was hit me the most was when he walked in that door, those kids looked at him like, wow, he does have a dad, you know, because how many times did they probably say, oh, my dad's gonna pick me up this week, oh, my dad's gonna pick me up next week, oh, you know, walking through that door, you know. So that's what I was saying, and they're probably thinking, no, he's not, because my dad's not coming. And then for him to really walk through that door, you know, you could see the look on their eyes like, wow, he does have a dad. And man, that was a huge turning point in my life.
So Joe, you once told me that story, and you said that that's where you actually learned not to take anything for granted.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I knew I had my mom at home, and just seeing her eyes, you know, like a kid that young shouldn't feel that sad or even look that sad. They were worried about going outside and playing, watching cartoons, eating, you know, peanut butter jelly sandwiches like me and you were as kids, you know? And yeah, it has changed my whole perception. And, you know, once I got to high school, like I said, everything was like a blessing in disguise. Because once I got to high school, all that was past me. You know, you got kids trying things in high school. Well, I already been through that. I went through that when I was 12 and 13 years old. So by the time I went to high school, you know, I had my mind set on baseball, which was, you know, my thing. I had a passion for it and helped me get through, you know?
Yeah.
Just helped me stay motivated.
Okay. So, I mean, that was a turning point in your life. You ended up going to juvenile for having some of the devil's lettuce, as some people call it.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of people don't understand, Joe, too, is, I mean, this hasn't been an overnight thing for you.
No.
I mean, you've had experience working with different things, and you've gained experience over years. I mean, a lot of people think that this is something that just kind of came about, but I mean, tell us about, I mean, this is an 8, 9, 10-year journey for you. Tell us about where you got like your training experience from and gym experience. Yeah,
the first time I ever hit the gym was I was 12 years old, and ever since then it just caught me. And, you know, I just stuck with it. I ended up getting a baseball scholarship. I actually got recruited by the University of Arizona. And man, I wish I went to that school, but, you know, I want to stay close to home. My dad had already passed away by then, which is a whole nother level that motivated me, because now I was left alone with nothing. My mom was left alone with nothing, you know? And that year was hard because I lost my dad, my grandma, and my grandfather in the same year.
Wow.
And it's sad because it was to that point where he was almost changing, you know?
Wow.
And then we had to lose him. But I mean, that's life, and you know, that helped just make me stay more motivated. I'm left with nothing, so I have to do something. And like I said, you know, my baseball coach, he had a huge effect on me, and motivation, you know. So right then and there, you know, when he handed me over those keys, like that was my thing. I knew I either wanted to be a coach or be a trainer. And, you know, I ended up getting a baseball scholarship. I went to 4 different colleges. I studied business and kinesiology. You know, so I kind of got both of best of both worlds on what I'm doing now. And
funny how that works out.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, you know, I had some of the top coaches. One of my coaches was a strength and conditioning coach for the Dodgers. Just the different styles of training, you know, and I've always caught on fast. I caught on so fast that I remember being at one school and everybody had to be on a certain training program. And when it came to me, they were like, just let Joseph do what he does.
Yeah.
Just go in there and do it. We know you're good. Yeah. And I just always been stronger and just had that passion for it, you know? And that's kind of like where that alter ego comes in, and they start calling me Joe Zilla just because I was so strong. You know, I was stronger than the football players. You know, I was a freshman lifting what the seniors are lifting. And it's just that alter ego, that inside that just, like I said, take me over that threshold.
But when you're Joe Zilla, is it You're mean Joe Zilla or you nice Joe Zilla?
Man, it's the mean Joe Zilla. I don't care what happens. I'm just gonna go, and just grind.
Nothing's gonna stop you.
Nope.
So, you received some of your training experiences through your college baseball career, but you've also, worked at gyms and done things.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Man, like I said, I've always had to bust my ass and grind. My first gym job was at my last college, and I actually had 4 jobs, and I think that's kind of what held me back with baseball. I wasn't able to fully 100% develop as a player or take it as far as the pros, because I've always had to work. My whole life I had to work. So my last college, I was on baseball scholarship. It was a private school, so it was, a lot of money. So not only did I have to do work study, so they had me washing dishes in the cafeteria.
Joe Zilla, washing dishes.
Yeah, it still wasn't enough because I didn't have money to pay for my books. So what happened was I was looking for a job. I found a job at a furniture company, and man, we moved furniture all day long because there's only 2 delivery guys, me and my friend Frank. And man, it's funny now to look back because I was probably the only kid getting dropped off 5 minutes before practice in a big ass furniture move. I would take my cleats, my bag, my baseball stuff, and change right there before. And then not only that, I had to work in the gym as well. And we had a gym there, so I'd clean the gym, help train. That was my first training job. And that's then when I had that experience, because I shut it down, I opened it up, I cleaned it up. So then after I came home, my first job was at this high-end corporate gym, and which was the same thing. I opened it, I closed it. It was just a blessing. Right, the day that I got that job, the second day, the guy who instructed the boot camp had quit. So they didn't know what they were gonna do. You have a 40 people boot camp and there's no one to instruct it. And of course, me, I want it. Hey, let me instruct it. This is what I want to do. Sure enough, I got the job, man. I killed it, and I don't know how I did it, because you're talking about a boot camp with teenage girls, older ladies in the 60s, people with, cartilage missing in their knees, young 35 strong man, and I had to, pick apart everybody, make the workout for everybody, and it was just cool for myself because it just clicked, and I just ran with it, and I'm just like, holy crap, like I'm really doing this. It was my first training job. I've trained 1 or 2 people, did programs before in college, growing up. But I know 40 people, so diverse. But so that's where I got a lot of my training experience from.
Now, let me ask you this, Joe. I mean, you've worked at, a few different gyms.
Yeah, I've worked the corporate gym, and I've worked at other gyms. I was actually a manager at 2 of them, but I just didn't like the way they ran their business, And
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So when you've been working at these gyms, I mean, do you ever look back and take the stuff that you liked and put that into what you're going to do now? And
that's the one thing that I've always put in the back of my head. I never knew how I was going to get there, but every single job I've had, especially training in the gym, because that's what I wanted to do. I was like, man, I wish I could own my own gym one day. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would do this like this, or I wouldn't do that like that. I would switch this and do that. And some people would be like, man, this sucks. I have to open up the gym, close the gym, do a 40-man boot camp, make smoothies, clean the toilets. Someone would be mad about that. They'd tell me to go outside, pick up glass out the parking lot. But I was passionate about that. To me, I was like, man, this is like my place. At that time, I didn't care. I wasn't getting paid a manager salary or owner, but it was my passion, and that made me feel good, like, dang, this is my own gym. So I've always picked apart what I would do, what I wouldn't do, and that, I think that's what makes me the most successful now, because I stayed open-minded the whole time, and I did see the good traits, and then I seen the bad traits.
I like it. So you like the good stuff that you're going to incorporate in what you're doing now, the Fort Worth Fieldhouse.
Yep, Fort Worth
and you're
Fieldhouse.
leaving the bad stuff that you didn't like and just envisioning your own vision.
Yep, putting all the good pieces together to make it, you know, not mine, but everyone else's home away from home. Like, you know, growing up for me, that really was my home away from home, and it was my scapegoat. But the coolest thing now is that I have the ability to do that for the community, my friends, family members, you know, young kids, young teenagers. You know, I couldn't go to no gym at that time, and, you know, I want to be that. I want to be that for everybody. You know, I want us, the Fort Worth Fieldhouse, to be that for everybody.
So you mentioned a while back, I mean, when you're in the field house and you had that relationship with your coach, you discovered something from yourself. I mean, you figured out that you wanted to be a trainer and you want to be a coach. Now, the funny thing now is, I mean, you got your Zillamade.
Yeah.
So you got Team Zillamade now.
I got my squad.
Yeah, you got your squad.
Up. That's
Squad
what we call
up.
it, yeah.
So, I mean, I got to lose 20 pounds to get in here, or what? I mean, how do I join the team? I mean, tell me about,
Man.
all kidding aside, tell me about Team Zillamade. I mean, Zillamade, what does that mean?
It started out with alter ego Joe Zilla, and then it was Zillamade. You know, that was me. That was kind of like representing what I represent. You know, and I didn't mean for it to blow up so big as a team. You know, that was just me. So it stands for, you know, sacrificing everything you have in pursuit of achieving what you want. You know, giving everything when there's nothing left to give. And that's been my whole life, you know? So that's kind of where that came from. And it was kind of like, that's Zillamade, that's my alter ego. Well, it is, you know, it is caught on and blew up, and I just been humble enough to come across so many people who do the same. You know, they come in, they sacrifice the same thing. Of course, someone outside looking in is like, oh, what does that mean? And then finally, you know, when I tell them or they go through their trials, man, it's just cool, because it brings us together. And, you know, I do bodybuilding, and everybody has their teams, which is a team name just to sound cool. But I knew what I stood for. I knew what I have to go through, and I know what I put all my people through. And the stories that I hear are phenomenal, man. The people don't even, you know, understand that it's more than training, you know, and it's more for me than training, because, you know, I wasn't close to a lot of my family growing up. So everyone who walks through this door, you'll see me shake hands and hug and share stories with, because they really are my family. You know, you may go home, you may have a big family. You don't know if I have a big family or not, but you're my family. You know, a lot of these people don't understand how special they are to me. And, you know, that's how I got this team name. And it just blew up, and it's just so cool because I'm surrounded by so many humble people who know what it stands for now, you know, and they show up and they give me all they got because they know I sacrifice. They know they're gonna sacrifice. And man, we're just a team. It was started as bodybuilding, and now it's not just bodybuilding. It's a life journey, you know.
Absolutely.
It's just sacrifice. No matter what, it don't have to be fitness, and that's what I try to preach about to everyone. It's not just about fitness. It's about whatever goal you have for yourself. Give it your all. Give it everything. You know, I've always gave it everything, and it's just so unreal the position that I'm in now. But I gave everything, you know, to the last drop. But I've always stayed focused. Focus, grind. Never did I doubt myself once. People doubted me, and they say it to my face, or they'll even still say it like, this is really yours? Like, and I laugh, not out of being mean, but I'm like, yeah.
What else can I do?
It sounds crazy, but yeah, it is mine now. And it's just, man, it's so unreal. And I still can't believe it.
It's awesome.
It's so unreal.
So you got your own team, Team Zillamade, and it sounds like Zillamade is more like a mentality.
Yeah, that's what it is.
More like
it's
a
more
mentality.
mentality.
So if my mentality's there, I can be Team Zillamade.
Yeah, you can.
I'm already in there.
Yeah, you're already in there.
You've
been in there.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good, bro. So, I mean, so this last year, I mean, I remember your first show.
Oh yeah.
Taken first from the bat. You were already a natural.
It was crazy because it's unreal because I weighed in at 149 pounds and it was me and a super heavyweight for the overall. I beat a guy 220 pounds at 149. And not only was I able to do that, that show qualified me for the biggest show in the world for amateurs in bodybuilding, which was the Arnold Classic. And even then I surprised myself because I go in and it's not no local show. I'm going international right off the back. I'm by myself in the back. These guys are 10 years older than me, been bodybuilding all this, 15, 20 years. And man, it was crazy. I went against people from Canada, the Netherlands, Puerto Rico, Mexico, and these dudes are coming in with Olympic jumpsuits. Like some of those guys are already pro. They drop pro from their country because they come to the US and make more money that way. They turn pro here, they get more reckoning. And I did really well that show too. A crazy story about that is the international show weight classes are different. So I weighed 1 pound over and they bumped me up a class. So I had to go against guys 10, 15 pounds heavier than me.
Wow.
And still broke top 10. Wow. And there was like 30 people in that show. Okay. And so that's kind of like when I knew, I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I can do this, I
like it. Well, Joe, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you've been training so long. You're getting ready for the biggest show of your life.
Yeah.
You're opening up a gym. You got the new chapter in your life. I mean, what everybody knows you call her, your ladybug. So you got your ladybug in your life. You're a dad. You're opening up a gym. I mean, I don't even know how you do it. Like, how you do it all alone? Like, tell me about that.
It's crazy because I don't think. I just go, and I've been like that my whole life, and my mom's always scared because I'm like, grind, go. And I'll get texts from my sister, my mom, are you okay? I'm like, it makes me mad. I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. Like, what do you mean? Just because I guess they see me tired, but it's just that dieting look, I'm like half the calories, half the carbs. Man, I'm just excited with everything going on that I don't think. I just grind. The biggest thing is trying to balance everything. And when I'm dieting, it helps me more because everything's on schedule. There's a timer on my phone. It's every single morning. Kind of like what my schedule is the past 5 years since I've been bodybuilding. I've eaten the same breakfast, the same amount for 5 years straight. 5 years straight, no lie. Consistency. And that's what I learned from one of the pros that I've talked to. But yeah, man, it's not a struggle. The only thing that's kind of a struggle is the balance, because I'm trying to get a pro card. I'm training as hard as I can to be the best bodybuilder I can. Not only that, I'm trying to open up the gym, and it hasn't been easy because no one was there to help me. I'm going to the city by myself trying to pull permits. I train 30, 40 people a day. So then you have that, me as a trainer, me as a dad, me as a husband, me as a son, then me trying to open up the gym, and like I said, I just keep pushing. And a lot of it comes from the help from the home front, of course. And I have a beautiful fiance, man. She helps so much, takes care of my little ladybug. Yep. And it has been tough, but I'm so blessed to have such a hard working team behind me, because it don't work without team. People, you see me grind, but behind doors it's crazy. My mom's helping cook this, my fiance Shauna, she's over here doing this. It gets crazy, but it works. and they know the sacrifice as well as I do, and we're a team, you know, and that's what's crazy about this whole thing. And so I have the biggest bodybuilding show in my career right now. I'm trying to go pro. I'm training for that. I'm trying to open up this gym.
When is that show?
That's exactly what I'm gonna tell you. I have, you know, I'm being a daddy trying to balance it out. I'm over here trying to get the gym. Well, my bodybuilding show is the same week as our grand opening. So the first day the doors are open. So I got two, you know, I got my current dream and my ultimate dream clashing all at once. And I was just like, holy moly, how is this happening? You know, because honestly, I thought the gym was gonna be open way ahead of time, and you know, that's a whole nother story. And I just been through so much trying to find a spot, finding places. Finally, I landed this deal, which was a very last minute deal. I was actually gonna sign on another place. This dude called me up. He's like, you know what? You have to go look at this place. You'll love it. You know, you'll walk right in. It's already a gym. There's no questions asked. And the budget was a little high. I was like, man, I don't know. I just want to start, you know, kind of low, build up, then I'll build into another place. Man, I came in here and I didn't envision myself. As soon as I pulled up, the Trinity River was right there. That's the crazy thing is, you know, you can sit and you can talk to my fiance Shauna or my mom. They'll tell you I never let up. My first vision, I said I wanted outskirts of downtown and I want to be right by Trinity River, because my first job was, they had Trinity River right there, and the boot camps were amazing. I would go along the river in the mornings with the sunrise with the people, and that's what I wanted. And I did not lose focus. I didn't doubt it, but I thought I was just gonna have to find different location. So a day before I was gonna sign the other lease, I got the call, came over here, and I fell in love right when I pulled in. I didn't envision myself. I envisioned all my people working out. Right off the back, I knew what room was which. It was crazy. It just like snapped. Like I was just like, I know I had to slow down because I was already talking like it's mine. I didn't even sign the lease. I was like, oh man, this room's cool. I'm gonna call this Quadzilla Gorilla Back Day. This is, man, I have my group training here, and it just started picking it apart. And the first thing I could think was like, my people are gonna love this. I'm gonna make it work for them, you know? Because ultimately, they make this, not me. I mean, we're together, we're a team, but if they're not here, this doesn't happen. So those clashing, I'm just like, how in the heck am I gonna be at two places at one time?
So those two clashes, the biggest show in your life.
The biggest show in my life.
Show, and then your biggest goal in your life all happened in the same week. Then what?
Then, you know, I knew I had to find somebody to help, you know. I can't say Shauna's gonna be here and run it because she's going with me to my show. I want my family there because, you know, I want them to see the outcome. And I have this vision of me and my daughter there because this is gonna be the first show I've done with my daughter. And, you know, I wanna take a cool picture with her. And, you know, with this process this past year, man, I came across a really great guy. And he's never asked for nothing. Just always wanted to help. You know, he was gonna open up a gym, and actually I was gonna sell him some of my equipment when Shauna had got pregnant, because I was like, man, well, the gym's taking a little longer. Maybe I can sell off a little equipment, you know, build back up to where, you know, I wanna be, and just put us ahead for the baby. You know, I had to think different. I had to think, okay, well, is this really gonna happen now? The time may not be now, but you know, I still wanted to be secure. And so I went to him, I asked him, and he's like, no, man, we're not doing it no more. I invested in this clothing line, which is Moto Bros, and they stand for, you know, they stand for passion, drive, and, you know, it's a really cool deal. But the thing is, you know, he's like, you know what, I went through the same thing, and he's like, man, we'll go drive around together. Let's go look at buildings. You know, he started helping me out with the city stuff and nothing. Like, he didn't ask for nothing. He just like, and I asked him one day, I was like, man, Homer, his name's Homer Lozano, and he's owner of the Moto Bros. And I was like, man, like, you don't want nothing? Like, you know, why are you helping me? You're helping me more than anybody has this whole process. And which was kind of sad because, you know, I have a lot of close people that I thought were on my side that, you know, I want this to be a team thing. And with him, right off the bat, it felt a team thing, except he wasn't even a part of it. He just wanted to help me, and I asked him why. And he's like, man, I see your drive, your passion. You know, I did not talk to him once. And the day I went up to him and asked him if he wanted to buy that gym equipment, that's the day that, you know, he talked to me and we had that conversation. And then he's like, look, man, you may not know it, but I see the way you work out. I see the way you interact with people. And, you know, I could just tell you're gonna go a long ways. And I know what it is to struggle. And he has a military background, solid guy. And he's like, I want to help you. Like, and he did help me, and he has helped me. So, man, that's how this is gonna work. Strong team. So I named him club manager. I'm giving him full access. It's more of a partnership. You know, what I see, he sees. We sit down, we discuss it and talk about it, because just his character alone, you know, sets aside what I want the Fort Worth Fieldhouse to stand for. And since we met, it's been teamwork. So, you know, that's how it's gonna work.
Very cool.
Yep.
So Homer Lozano, Moto Bros,
Yep.
co-founder, now the new gym manager.
Yep.
Fort Worth Fieldhouse.
Yes, sir. And that's how I'm gonna be at two places at one time. Yeah, because I mean, we click right off the bat. He knows what I want. He knows what we stand for, and it's exactly how I want it.
Very cool. All right, so Joe, I mean, you mentioned Homer a little while ago, and you told us a little bit about him. I mean, he's a military veteran, Marine Corps to be exact. He's a combat veteran, to be exact. So I mean, first and foremost, Homer, thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome.
But you know, he also mentioned your brand, which is Moto Bros. So I mean, Homer, just tell me, I mean, what is Moto Bros? You know, what's the meaning behind it? How'd it come about? I mean, tell me about your brand.
Moto Bros is kind of like a military thing. You know, it's moto means motivation. You know, in the military, when people say you're moto, that means you're outgoing. You're always trying to do the best you can at any job that you're doing in the military. You know, we kind of spun that off to the way we see people in the fitness industry. You know, like Joe, you know, he's moto. You know, even before I knew him, you know, because he was the type of guy that's in there at 4 a.m. training people, and he leaves when the gym closes. And if not, you know, he's after hours. And he's the only guy I know that has like 4 wardrobe changes, not because, you know, it's a fashion statement, but because all the sweat, you know, and it's crazy.
Hey, but he looks good in all 4 though, right?
He's always color coordinated.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But with that, you know, being moto is about anything, you know, whether it's boxing, MMA, cycling, powerlifting, bodybuilding, you know, it's all wrapped up into one, you know. And it's funny that way, because before I even knew Joe or what Zillamade standed for, it's kind of crazy. The more I got to know him, the more Zillamade's motto was so similar to Moto Bros' motto. You know, and it's weird that way, that, you know, people come into your life like that have the same goals and similarities, but, you know, you really don't know each other, and y'all are going to the same place all the time.
Right on. Okay, so I get it. So motivation, a military term. That's cool, man. I like that. Now, I mean, I guess my next question is, Homer, is, you know, you don't know Joseph from, you know, Larry down the street. I mean, you really didn't even know this guy, you know, to begin with. But I mean, what did you see in Joe? Like, you know, what did you see? I mean, how did this come about? I mean, what'd you see in him that made you want to jump on that Zillamade train?
Well, meeting Joe for the first time, you know, he kind of approached me. You know, we were both at the same crossroads looking to start a business. You know, he was going to start his gym, but, you know, he had a few setbacks, and we did as well, you know. So looking at that, you know, he was, you know, talking about equipment and stuff, and I was like, you know what, let's just go check buildings out and see what we can put together, you know. And the more we rode together to these places and started to get to know each other, you know, you could see it in Joe that there was no quitting him. There was no, you know, whatever obstacle came into his life, he was gonna beat. And, you know, a lot of that stuff, like, to me, you know, I've been in combat, so you see that from combat veterans, you know, that don't have any quit. You know, they're gonna finish the job no matter what, and you can see that in them. You know, and it's rare to see that in somebody that's not in the military. You know, his goals, his dreams, you know, he hasn't stumbled on one of them yet, you know, from what we've talked about. And I see him, you know, when he was doing it, he was going to the city, pulling permits by himself. He was going to see buildings by himself. He was doing it all by himself. And, you know, I knew that all he needed was that just little bit of help, you know, and I was willing to help him because I could see that whatever he was going to do, he was going to be successful at. And that's why we're sitting here today, you know, we're at his gym. You know, it's popping off August 1st, you know, the Fort Worth Fieldhouse, his gym, his vision. And there isn't anything that I see in him that he can't do. And when I seen that, I was like, you know what, I want to be Zillamade too. You know, because his drive, his competitive nature, his will to win, that's what you see on the field of combat. And it's rare out here to see a man that's that honest, that straightforward, and just keeps his word on everything, you know. From day one, he's been straight up with me, and he's kept his word. And I can't thank him enough for this position, giving me a shot, because I know I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to be successful as well.
Squad up, tell me what you really bout. Iron grind, tell me what you really bout. Squad up, tell me what you really bout. Iron grind, tell me what you really bout.
You're just too good to be true. I can't take my eyes off of you. You're like heaven to touch. I wanna love and hug you so much. And all this love, it's right. I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. I can't take my eyes off of you.